will we continue?
Yeah.
Could I read the overview of this Art, Media, and Humanity virtual talk show? In today's world without border, how media and arts play a role in humanitarian issues such as the political tragedy in Myanmar. The military coup of February 1st, 2021, media released as for March 30, 2021, there were 510 civilian deaths as confirmed by the Assistance Association for Political Prisoners, AAPP. The initiative Untitled Virtual Collaboration for Peace, Prayformyanmar occurs spontaneously as a solidarity response to the struggle of Myanmar artists so far. We received a release from Myanmar artists entitled Call to the Global Creative Community to Show Solidarity with the People of Myanmar. They stated that the situation in Myanmar can indeed be complicated upon by the people of Myanmar themselves, but they need international support for they are fighting for. It is democracy. I would like to introduce our speaker. Our main speaker is Zhang Kuto and guest speaker Abu Jalal Saripal from Singapore, Nirja Peters from India, and Royal Delcos from Iran. I will start it with the background of Dr. Nirja Chatna Peters from India. She is a physician, discovered her passion for art 11 years ago. She found her language in spiritual expression through abstract geometry. She paints in acrylic medium. She is a third prize winner in the International Online Biennale by IAVPOA Lithuania and has participated in many international biennales and exhibitions. She received Critics' Choice Award and Wallace Hartley World Art Day Award from World University of Design and International Association of Art, official partners of UNESCO, respectively. Her works have been recently published in Bluebee Magazine, London, Flora Fiction Literary Magazine, and Quarantine, Zine, New York, and Art Hole, UK, and Indian Creative Mind Magazine. So now is Dr. Nirja Chatna Peters from India. Have a time to talk for 10 minutes. Please, don't forget to unmute.
Good day, everyone. Thank you, Tiarma, for that wonderful introduction. It is indeed a pleasure to be here among such wonderful artists from different parts of the world. And thank you for having me here. I want to begin with this quote by Vincent van Gogh, the Dutch artist whom we all know. Way back in 1882, in one of his letters to his brother Theo, which are so famous, he had written, I do believe in civilization, even in this day and age, but only in the kind that's based on true love of humanity. Anything that costs human lives, I find barbarous, and I have no respect for it. Today, as we all gather here to pray for peace in Myanmar, in solidarity with our brothers and sisters of that country, it is so beautiful that art has united all of us from different countries. And most of us, I think, or at least some of us, have not even met physically. But still we connect to each other deeply because of art, and also because of this cause that we feel deeply about. We feel deeply about the same thing. Art, in this case, is our uniting factor. Though we are all from different countries, but before that, we are all human beings. And art is fundamental to human expression. Even before we learn to talk or write as a child, we sing and we draw. Art is a way to express and communicate. Not only that, it makes us more sensitive and it makes us think and feel deeply and creatively. In fact, it actually builds character at both individual and at national level. It brings about peace and harmony in the society as a whole. The mind is profoundly influenced by what it sees. And if it is trained from the days of the childhood to the contemplation and understanding of beauty, harmony, and just arrangement of lines, colors, the tastes, habits, and character automatically, get trained to follow similar law of beauty, harmony, and just arrangement in the life of an adult person. In cultures where universal proficiency of arts and art appreciation is prominent, the national character is built. So, art actually builds aesthetic, intellectual, and moral faculties in the society. Here, I would like to quote Sri Aurobindo from India. He said, "It is not necessary that every man should be an artist, but it is necessary that every man should have his artistic faculty developed, his taste trained, his sense of beauty and insight into form and color made habitually active and sensitive. It is important for a nation to be habituated to appreciate and prefer beauty, nobility, righteousness, and harmony. A nation is actually known by its art and culture. We were talking of Bali, we were talking of other countries, The impression any country makes on the world is because of its art and culture and because of its social etiquette. And most of all, today, in this context, how a country or in a country one respects human life and dignity. As national prestige and respect is built based upon all these. Now, this brings us to the value given to freedom of expression in any country. As artists, we know and understand how important it is to have freedom of expression. And there is no exaggeration in the fact that a country where art community, and by art community, I not only include the visual artists, but also the performing artists, the musicians, the actors, philosophers, thinkers, writers. So wherever the art community is free to express what they feel, only in such a country can true progress happen. I specifically mentioned this section of society because we know them as creative thinkers, feeling and expressing more deeply and critically also. And therefore, they help in bringing about growth and progress and a positive change in the society in any country. In fact, freedom of expression is important not only to the art community, but to every citizen of a country, to every human being. Everyone has equal right in the society as humans to express their feelings, their opinion without any fear. And it's very important. And that is my prayer for Myanmar. May you live without fear, with freedom, and the right to express what you feel. About this exhibition, I'm also a participant as an artist, and my work is an acrylic painting on canvas, and it is titled Hope. Ironically, it was done in the beginning of the pandemic, and there were other social and political and also humanitarian stimuli that I got during the pandemic, with so many movements happening, that hope was something during the pandemic that we all fed on, lived on, breathed on, and survived on. And so that is the topic of the painting, that the theme of the painting, and it is a geometric abstract, and it's based upon focusing inwards, harnessing one's own inner strength to derive hope in any tragedy, trauma, or any situation where one is faced with any kind of stress. I wish all the participants and the organizers of this exhibition a lot of success and my best wishes. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nirja. It's really a good explanation about your work, your thought, and I would like to continue to our speaker, Robabe Delcos. Her nickname is Roya from Iran. She was born in Iran in 1976, president and director of Iran Darodi Visual Art Academy, part-time art master at Art University of Neshabur, member of Iranian Painting House, member of ICAA and WCAA Republic of Korea, and art ambassador Iran, India, and manager of art workshop and exhibition. Please, we give time to Roya to explain in 10 minutes.
Thank you so much, Tiarma. Hello again to all friends who participate at this meeting. Hope you all be fine. I also first express my sympathy and impact on this tragedy in Myanmar. This media is much more and more tangible, especially at this time when everything is virtualized due to COVID-19 situation. So we artists can be very effective in improving the situation. Studying, seeing, and thinking have always led human beings to perfection and excellence, as we have seen in archaeological findings till now. Nature and the universe have been and are the best teachers for human beings to learn. If we learn well, we will find that everything in the universe is one being in order to complete a unit. Differences are the reason for this perfection, and it is these differences that make the universe beautiful. The law of physics has also repeatedly provided this theory of oneness too. We are all one and created just to be perfect, to complete each other. If we humans come to believe this, we will never harm anything or each other, same in Myanmar or somewhere, sometimes in my country too. We will never think we are better than others, but we will protect each other because that is the law of survival. Then there will be no more war and killing, and we will alive in peace and beautifully. Why should we not accept differences while these differences create and bring beauty? In the art of painting, we know all, as we are artists, that all colors are made from a combination of three colors: yellow, blue, and red. And the other colors we make of them: blue and yellow, green, red, and yellow, orange, and some. And if you see at the nature, you will find all colors. You will find red and green together when they sit beside each other so more beautiful because of these colors complete each other because at real these are three colors blue, red and yellow and other purple and yellow together, orange and blue and same colors. The same hypothesis applies to the color of our skin, of our human skins too, because the combination of white, yellow, red, brown, black, if you combine these colors together, you will have olive green. And this is the color of peace. So this is the reason we must be together. We are just one. You're not, I don't know what can I say this. We are just one. And it is the color of peace, you know, all. In this sign, other than peace and friendship, is this anything but concept of being together that bring peace? There are lots of icons at universe to show us this fact. If we just look around ourselves, we can find more icons to show this to us. We just must think. And in Myanmar and somewhere that we see war, that some people are killing other peoples, child, men and women, I think they not think, they not just think, just to do something without thinking. If we think and look around ourselves, we will find we are one. We just complete each other to have good life together. As a painter and art teacher, I have always tried to convey this concept to my audience and students to show this reality that you can find at the world, at the universe. Hopefully one day we will all be one, living beautifully and enjoying life in the right of all beings, hoping for the day when the world is full of peace and love. This is the law of the universe. We just alive because the rule of the universe is love. So we must find this is not very difficult, it's so easy. Just we must think. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you so much, Roya, for your expression about your thought about this theme, art, media, and humanity. Pray for Myanmar. Actually, the next speaker is Abu Jalal Sarimon from Singapore, but I think we didn't see him right now. So I saw another artist from Myanmar, Sun A Pew. Could you please telling us about the situation in Myanmar?
Hello, everyone.
Please. Yeah.
Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear. Yes.
Okay. Because here internet is not very stable, and forgive me if the internet is not so good, and then it may also cut off in the middle. But thank you very much for all your support, and I also saw your artworks on social media. Right now, here situation is really unstable and uncertain. Even we don't know what will happen tomorrow. So, but most of the citizens, we are trying to fight for democracy in the way we can. And the good thing is like many artists and even not from the art community, normal public people, they respond to this revolution through very creative protesting way or creative boycott themes, very creative style, so that the international and other country and friends may know the situation better here, because at the start of the coup around February, we still can do a protest in a huge group. You may see the photos on the social media, so we can go out and protest. But starting from the mid of February, they start shooting, even to the peaceful protester. So we don't have any weapons. So, but I think you may already know that things. And then, but situation right now, we cannot even start about like 10 or 15 minutes if we cannot go out and do protests. They will arrive very quickly because they have spy, and then the spy inform very quickly. So we have very difficult situation for doing a big protest. But so that's why people keep doing protests in their own way, that we are not doing staying silent for this situation. We are not accepting their military coup. So yeah, and then internet is also cut off, like mobile internet cut off, Wi-Fi cut off. So only fiber internet is available. But even for fiber, if the electricity also cut off very often in these days. So yeah, internet is not stable, and like they ban Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and so on. So we need to use VPN to able to access that kind of things. And yeah, so they also try to catch people at night, to whoever like supporting or donating to the CDM movement people, or who are suffering. If they found out somebody is supporting or donating, yeah, they will come and catch. So even for the donation, we have to be very carefully handling.
Thank you so much for your explanation. It's really, really a good information from the A1 information from Myanmar. And the next speaker is Mr. Zhang Kuto. I will introduce about him. He is an anthropologist and humanist from France. He has lived in Indonesia for a long time. Zhang wrote several books, several titles, including Bali Inspires, the Rudana Art Collection, published on September 2011, and Time Rights Festival in Bali, published August 2014. Please, Mr. Zhang Kuto, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. And I am also a columnist. And in one of my columns, a few years ago, I wrote about Myanmar. Yeah. And I wrote about, you see, the issue of Myanmar with the issue of ultranationalism, ethnic nationalism that turned into prejudices against the Muslim minority of the country. Yeah. So perhaps I will come back to that later. But first, I would like, you see, to congratulate the idea of holding such an event, you see, because usually when you use modern means of communication, we use the internet, it's used to spread hatred. And here we are using an instrument which is doing exactly the opposite. You see, the speaker before me talked about the oneness of humanity. Yeah. And that's so interesting. It's an old idea, but today we are faced with contradictory tendencies here. We are faced on the one side with a new awareness through globalization that we all share the same fate, owing to tremendous changes in the ecology, owing to the nature of the modern economy. So we are becoming increasingly aware of this oneness of humanity, even beyond the traditional oneness which is being proposed by the main religions of the world. We are told to be, we have to be one because of ecological issues to be able to deal with the future here. So it's an important point, yeah. You see, but here we are a group of mainly artists, some of them writers here. So we are faced with political issues, but the way writers, the way poets, the way visual artists deal with politics is a special way, because usually what we first put forward, it's the sensitive side of expression. It's not the stiff, it's not the ideological speech which we hear too often, you see, when we discuss political issues, yeah. So here we discuss political issues first with feeling. And I think it's something which is so important, because together with the, you see, with the oneness I was just talking about, we see another side of globalization. We see people who are becoming increasingly nationalistic. We see people who are becoming fanatically religious. We see a narrowing of perspectives for some people, at the same time as we see the broadening of perspective for other people. And I think the artist should address this issue here. So now we are here also to discuss the situation in Myanmar here. So few of us know Myanmar. Myself, I have never been to Myanmar, but a few years ago, I used to read quite extensively about this country. So I noticed 2 points regarding Myanmar. Myanmar was never fully united as a country, you see. The way it was colonized by the British in the 19th century, the way the British imported people from beyond the seas, from India, from other parts of their empire, to rule over Myanmar, you see, to created, you see, the ethnic dissensions, the ethnic issues we are seeing now. Myanmar was also ravaged by the Second World War, you see, when you had, you see, the fight between the British on the one side, the Japanese on the other side, and also you see the both army, you see, fighting, the Indian both army fighting with the Japanese in the jungle of Myanmar, as it was told in a fantastic book written by Amita Ghosh, if I'm not mistaken. You see the Glass Palace, yeah, explaining, you see, the condition of Myanmar. So it was ravaged. So it was so difficult for Myanmar, you see, to construct, to build a functioning country, you see. So right after independence in 48, if I'm not mistaken, you see, they already had wars between the central population, you see, the Bamar, and the ethnic minorities. Yeah. After that, Ne Win came to power, and he stayed in power for some 50 years. Yeah. And in Ne Win days, there was no way, you see, to get foreign investment. So the country, which is very rich in natural resources, got poorer and poorer. And in Myanmar, at the time, and even perhaps now, the people of Myanmar were unable to find someone who could ideologically, you see, construct a nationalism which would cover, which would include all the elements of the country. And even after the first military government, you see, collapsed, after this government collapsed, you see, when Aung San Suu Kyi came to power, apparently even herself, even though she supported democracy, she was unable, you see, to build a new kind of nationalism which went beyond, you see, ethnic nationalism of the main ethnic Burman group, you see. The Kachins, the Chans, the Karens were not included in a national in the national ideological space of Myanmar. Yeah. And so it's, in my opinion, it's one of the reasons why it collapsed. And I think the Myanmar artists should discuss this issue, you see, how to create, to engineer an inclusive brand of open nationalism in their country, you see. They have to, yeah, to leave the old type of nationalism. They have to be inclusive of other ethnic groups, be inclusive of other religions. I live in Indonesia, you see. In Indonesia, they have succeeded in the matter. They have people of various religions, many ethnic groups. They live well together next to one another. I am here in Bali. The Balinese are Indonesian nationalists. Indonesian nationalism is a mild one. It's a universal brand of nationalism. It doesn't take into account race, religion. It is basically inclusive. So I think that's something important. And I think the artists should include in their protest, they should include on the one side, you see, protest against the military regime, but they should also discuss, you see, the way to engineer, to create a new kind of open nationalism. Yeah. That's what I want to say tonight to you. If some of you from Myanmar are listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your explanation, Mr. Zhang Kuto. And I just realized that Mr. Abu Jalal Sarimon from Singapore already participate. So I would like to read about his background. He is known as Singapore Social Commentary Artist, the founder of Freedom and Love International Art Group, founding members of Tuju Art Group, executive member of Singaporean Modern Art Society, head of Imago Mundi Singapore, and senior member of Singapore Malay Artists of Various Resources, APAD. His work are among many modes through which he commits the call of the mind, bringing his thoughts and ideas presented to human cultural sensibility. Characterized by fineness and sense of humor, his creation encouraged viewers to evaluate the hidden meanings of its work behind their seeming simple yet candid composition. Always strong in color, the nature of his work is openly apparent, and he composed this mode of expression to create engaging conversation with his viewers. He has traveled and exhibit in many countries, and his artwork are collected by museums, government agencies, banks, and private and professional. He has received some prestigious accolades, namely the Most Promising Artist Award by Philip Carrel Foundation in 1994 and Juro's Choice by Philip Morris Group of Companies in 1995 and Gold Award by UOB Painting of the Year in 2017. Please, Mr. Abu Jalal Sarimon, it is your time to have a speech.
Hi everyone. Nice to have everyone here. Thank you to Anton. Hi Anton, for having me today as one of the speakers. I saw my founding member of Tuju Art Group, Mr. Rosyan Daim, is also here. You know, it's interesting to have you here. So I saw Tarma. How are you? We used to have an exhibition together. And some other guys here that familiar to me. Okay, what happened in Burma or in Myanmar? Something which is I think is expected, you know, because if the latest show that I've done in Myanmar, it was in 2018 in Yangon, and from my view, from my observations of that place when I was there for about 10 days, you know, it was a very dynamic country with a dynamic people, very nice people, you know, and there are a lot of nationalities. You know, you mentioned about the people in Myanmar. You can see the Muslim, the Christian, the Buddhist. You know, you can see their house of prayers was built side by side. It was very interesting. In Yangon, you can see these three important buildings. It was situated side by side, and people are happily, you know, gathering together, you know, enjoying their tea, their break, their chit chat, you know, along the street. And when I was there, you know, I'm one of the artists who enjoy walking, you know. So I cover the entire Yangon by walking, you know, from one street to another. I brought along some candy in my pocket, you know. Whenever I see children, I will share my candy with them. Try to talk to them, you know. Though most of them don't speak English, you know, but it's easy to interact with them because they are very open-minded, you know, and they are very generous and very helpful. You're looking at the demographic of Yangon during that time in 2018, you know, you can see a lot of condominium, you know. It's like mushroom, you know, it's everywhere, you know, you're looking at condominium. And in fact, the price of land in Yangon is become one of the most expensive, you know. And it's just like a price of a building in Singapore, you know, they kind of super expensive place now. And it's expensive because the country developed so well, you know. As an artist, you know, the reason I was there in 2018 for an art exhibition. So, you know, in fact, I have a group of Singapore artists that I want to bring them along, you know. And somehow, you know, some of the artists that I want to brought along decided not to come because I believe they have this impression, you know, that, you know, it's a waste of time to do a show in Myanmar, you know, because probably they thought Myanmar is such a closed country. It's not open, you know, to the international viewers or international art practitioners. So probably because of that, they decided not to go. But, you know, I always like to venture, and you don't try, you never know, you see. So I wrote in and I managed to get another Singaporean artist to come along. So we had a show together with Indonesian artists, with Myanmar artists. So these three nations art exhibitions. It was I think that's one of the fantastic journey for art journey that I have in among the country in the world, that I have a show. For example, when I reached the airport, I brought along some of my paintings in the tube. You know what happened when I was in the airport? The immigration, a lady and a man, in a very nice uniform, came and approached me. Welcome to Myanmar, That's never happened to you, If like you go in Indonesia, they will check your luggage, they check, is this to be taxed or not? The kind of stuff, Even you go to Malaysia, they will check, will be you go to Europe, it's worse, But in Myanmar, it's different. They are so lively. They are so friendly, When I look at it, I used to be there like 10 years before that. I was there for trade business with Malay Chamber of Commerce. There we went there for business, so I know how they react towards foreigner, And on the 2018, when they behave like that, I was so shocked and I was happy. But that is one of the a good start, for me to do something in Myanmar, because I used to do art exhibition. I organized art exhibition locally and also globally. Like I did a show. I organized together with the Rosihan, our friend there, in Italy. I organized that. I curate the show, and they are in a group when we work together to have a very successful show in Italy. Then I also did an organized event in Tunisia, in Turkey, where I did the longest mural in Turkey. I've been to all these countries, and I realized that Myanmar is, though people are saying we are a bit of backward, third world country. Yet when I enter, into Myanmar, Yangon, I was shocked, to see the development was so fantastic. If you do art exhibition there, you don't bring your own timber. It's hard. It's very difficult for you to buy a timber to get your painting assembled, I don't understand in the first place why that's happened. Then we realize that the people there are so dynamic, that anything that they found on the floor, they will do something about it. They sell, they trade, So a simple wood, also hard to find in Myanmar, is to show how dynamic is this country. And if you walk every single kilometers of Yangon, as I told you earlier, the condominium apartments, or the nice bungalows and terraces are being built, like nobody business. I met quite a number of friends there, like Singapore engineers, Malaysian architects, some friends who are doing interior design there, some are doing trading, some doing timber, some doing chopstick, some bring in the seafood, because I also doing some seafood business from Papua New Guinea, from Indonesia, like crab, that kind of stuff. And I checked with Myanmar if they also need these items. And I realized that a lot of people doing all kind of business, in Myanmar. And if you love like gemstones, or if you like jade, Myanmar is the place, is the place for these items. See? So, and I also met my friend who actually doing jewelry design, fashion design, in Myanmar, in Yangon, they buy fabric, they buy stones, they buy gemstones, they get technician, tradesmen to do, artists to do their silverware, their gems cutting. So it was so thriving, 2018, and I expect that 2020 or 2021 will be something which is fantastic, I already have a plan in mind to have an arts exhibition with the Myanmar artists, and also have the plan to bring some of the artists to be part of the show in Turkey, also in Malaysia and in Singapore. And recently we just started art gallery in Singapore, and we are looking a lot of international artists to be part of it. And so happened my partner actually who run the gallery, he had been collecting a Myanmar artist artwork, to be sold in Singapore and also global, So when this when the military rule took over, recently, like 51 days ago, and Mr. Suchi, Madam Suchi is being arrested, and the pro-democracy group are being detained. it was a real tragedy, and it's really sad, to know that this happening, where the country is I used to tell to my friends and my buddies, this country is the luckiest country in the world, because when they start developing their country, we are already in 4G and 3Gs and coming to 5Gs, in terms of telecommunications. It's make things very easy for them. And you can see when you were there, a lot of artists, coming up from all the village, try their luck in Yangon, sharing their so-called skill, their knowledge, and try to get more agents to market their work. And people like me is also being approached by some of them, to have them to market their work here. If in Singapore, we have a gallery in Singapore who are very established, have been selling Myanmar artists at a very good price, like Tagi, Soso, these are the artists who've been selling their work in Singapore like 5 figures per piece. So and when I went in Yangon, when I visited the studio of the artist, you see they are so successful, as an artist. They live like a three level houses, where they have below they have a workshop, second floor they have their gallery, and the third floor is their residence. So they are very successful artists. They've been to Art Basel in Hong Kong, they've been in UK, they've been in US. If you can see in Facebook, some of the Myanmar artists doing very, very well. So that is on the visual art where we are in. But you look at it now, the situation was so bad that almost all the artists, involved in the art or creative industry are being detained. Recently, they have this the famous comedian Zagina. He was being arrested. He's 60 years old. He was being arrested, and they put him in lockup because he was being charged for inciting protests against the military. And some other 20, I think, artists like singers, comedians, dramatists, film producer, they also got detained they claim that they are inciting protests against the military. So you can imagine, a lot of artists out there are being really insecure in their life, and at this pandemic period, nobody can go out from the country. So it's really sad, at this thing to take place, whereby pandemic is in the situation which is so serious, and looking at people gathering, protesting, and they being in contact of each other. I think beside this unrest, I think the real problem they're going to face is actually the outbreak of pandemic in Burma, And recently in the border of China, they discovered that there is possibly the virus of the coronavirus found in the border of China probably come from Myanmar. So it's quite scary on that part. And I don't know if we have any of our Myanmar friend here. I like to say that is something to Anton. This is a very good Zoom session that we have, where we can really bring our thoughts together, and see how we can work together, pray together, hoping that there will be peace, back in Myanmar. Whoever the ruler of Myanmar, whether it's military or pro-democracy, no, we just hope that a situation will come back to what it used to be, where people can roam around free, enjoy their life, the artists can grow and develop their work with the rest of the artists in the world, and I hope also that we are here, as a friend, as the people who are very concerned about what's happening. It's time for us to learn, also for us to open our eyes, and to be blessed with what we have in our country. I think that's very important, and I believe our friend in Myanmar really wish that their country to be like, Indonesia, maybe like India, like Singapore, you know, like Malaysia, like Brunei, you know, this country at all time peace, you know, and their children, you know, and their generation can grow well, and they can reach the sky, you know, the limit. That is the kind of thing that I see. What my really worry about this situation is the children, the minorities, the ethnics, like the Karens, you know, and if this situation to be prolonged, uh, these minorities will suffer more, you know, and I hope it will end fast, you know, like the United Nations. I hope they might come in, you know. They'll be sending their, what I understand, they'll be sending their people to Myanmar to take a look at the situation. France, who control total energy in Myanmar, I heard they probably want to stop producing their natural resources in Myanmar, because if situation getting very dangerous, they have to stop the production. United States also, you know, might want to come to be very firm, taking actions, and they might do something about the economy. And the only hope that we have uh, from the international countries is actually China, because China is the biggest trading partner of Myanmar, and they have all the power to do that. And I believe, you know, China will going to do that, because if there is no peace in Myanmar, so there's a lot of business which belong to China in Myanmar will get affected. So with that, I hope we can share more from the rest. I end now, and thanks guys, and please continue with this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abu Jawal Sarimon. And we will continue with some questions that already get into the admin. Maybe from other artists or other participants in here would like to ask something about the speech. Please, if there are any question, just turn on your mic. Any question from who already been here and have any question? Maybe from Ibu Yeyet or Mr. Amir Siddhartha or Mr. Joshua Tobing or Ibu Karina or Miss Reka. Any question? No.
Ibu Carla mungkin, Ibu Carla.
Ibu Carla? Ibu Carla? Or Bapak Sarif Hidayat? Bapak Edi Kurniawan? Panggil satu-satu nih. Pak Kuslan Jaya? Any question? Ibu Carla? Or maybe soon if you would like to telling something to us more, maybe.
Thank you very much for all the sharings and speeches. I will turn off the video because internet is not that stable, so for better audio. And also thank you for all the advices to Myanmar artists. And yeah, I want to share a bit about the art community situation here. So from the start of the military coup on February 1st, we artist community, of course, mostly visual art group, we did how to say art project on the street in the downtown Yangon. So all the artists come onto the street, and then we make like a temporary booth, and then whoever can join and draw or paint. and then we sell it on the street, and all the donation will go to support of CDM people, because in this revolution, CDM movement is very important for our revolution. I think you will know the civil disobedience movement. So all the artists, maybe even though some young generation who are stay on the study of the art or whoever, they can come and paint and then sell the artwork. And then after a week, the situation became unstable, and then police came and try to, make a riot. So we decided to move to Lokana Gallery. Some of you may know if you been to Yangon, so it's at the downtown. So we also continue the exhibition for CDN support in the gallery, and then people keep sending their artwork to the gallery, and then the gallery taking care of selling the artwork. And some like international friends, they also bought and support from the online, of course. And then later on, we also cannot continue it because they start try to catching the people who are supporting the CDM. And then, so as Mr. Abu Jalai mentioned, many artists also got detained and arrested. Like even just 2 weeks ago, we have the artists together with the literature writers, poet and cartoonists, they try to do a group protest. And then within 5 minutes in the downtown, they got chased by the police, and then they try to hide in the condominium apartment where some of the house owner, they opened the door for them to hide. But around 14 people got arrested in the apartment, and then only like 6 people just released last week. So we still have some artists who stay got arrested, and then we keep trying to let them release. And that is just from one protest. There are so many artists also from the actors or comedian, as like Mr. Abu Jalai mentioned. So they got arrested, and then the military keep announcing the list of the celebrities or artists or poets or writers, whoever they want to arrest. That they already make a list for the arrest. So all of us, we have to be very taking care to stay safe, and then but we keep fighting with our own effort as best as we can. So thank you for all of the international friends support, and then it's really helpful to all our art community and also all Myanmar people, because we got energy from all of your support, and then we were keep fighting, and then we decide we must win this revolution. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your explanation. I hope all the participants here can understand the real situation in Myanmar. And now I give time to Mr. Zhang Kuto to make a review on this Pray for Myanmar event. Please, Mr. Zhang Kuto.
Excuse me, can you repeat your question? Can you repeat your question?
What? No, I mean, I have no question. I give a time to Mr. Zhang Kuto to make a review of this discussion.
You see, a review of the discussion, what I want to pinpoint, it's the building of oneness, you see. That's what I recall of all the intervention. You see, to go beyond our different backgrounds, to go beyond religion, to go beyond ethnicity, and to expose that while being aware of the issues we have in our different countries and the issues that exist in Myanmar. Because being an artist is being aware of those differences, but being a modern artist is doing one's best to go beyond differences and building oneness. Yeah, that's what I want to basically emphasize, to continue having a positive view of the world while being at the same time able to denounce sometimes, pinpoint in other times what doesn't work, you see, with the same goal in view. Yeah. And I see, for example, in the work which is just behind you, if I'm not mistaken, it's a word by Antonius. Yeah, it's the same kind of endeavor, you see. Human beings trying to be more and more human, trying to go beyond the differences. I think that's what I want to pinpoint. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, I read there is a question to all the speakers here. Wait. How to approach art and culture influence for democratic issue at Myanmar and other countries? So who gonna say something about this first to answer this question? Start from Dr. Nirja, maybe? Dr. Nirja, would you like to answer this question? How to approach art and culture influence for democratic issue at Myanmar and other countries?
Yeah. Well, art and culture is so much ingrained in all of us as we are brought up. And I feel that those are the roots that we can go back to and take from the art and culture and promote those things which promote equality, which promote oneness among citizens. So, for democratic issues in any country, if we go back to our own culture and try to look for examples and try to look for instances where equality and respect for human life and goodness has prevailed over any kind of hurdles, or see in the history where learn from it, to face the current situation. That's, if I've understood the question correctly, that's my answer.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nirja. Maybe other speaker would like to answer this kind of question. Ms. Roya Delcos?
No, I think the Dr. Nija answered, so this all I'm good. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Zhang?
Yeah, I think you see, of course, in every culture of the world, we can find universal aspects here. And when we do art, or when we write about culture, we must naturally endeavor to underline those universal aspects, because there is the other alternative, which sometimes comes out, you see, from economic development, where people, and even sometimes artists, you see, overemphasize differences. So we have to be aware of this possible contradiction and do our best to emphasize what is universal in the culture we are having in ourselves. And when you go abroad, which is what I have done, you see, for more than 40 years, we can learn and we must learn to see also the universal in the differences we are faced with. I think that's very important. And that's why sometimes artists have to be clearly political, because they are not expected to be political in a narrow sense of the word, being stiffly ideological, but on the contrary, as I tried to say at the beginning of my speech, you see, 20 minutes ago, they pinpoint, you see, what is human in all of us. Ya kira-kira begitu ya.
Terima kasih banyak. Thank you so much, Mr. Zhang Kuto. And maybe Mr. Abu Jalal Sarimon would like to explain or answer this question.
Yes, I think that's very interesting questions about the approach. Importantly, I think in the process of doing that approach, we must understand one thing: every single day is actually a learning process. If you want to go towards democratic or democracy, you're talking about culture, you're talking about traditions, you know. I think everything is about learning. You're talking about learning, we're talking about documentation, you're talking observation, you're talking being thorough, you're talking about something that an artist, you know, you can develop something imagination into visual, the impact that you can garner from visual, like myself and the social commentary artist, you know, how I garner that interest for people to come into my work, you know, to understand my work, to get attracted to my work, you know, and also like other artists who produce their work, you know, in the form of abstract or in the form of contemporary style that they have, you know. Importantly is the learning process. It has to start from A to Z, and being from there, you have to be versatile, you have to be prolific, you have to be precise, and also you have to be very organized in what you are doing, because that is power. And when you approach, you can approach with a proper message that you can send across, you know, people can understand what you're doing. When you choose your color, you know, your color is strong enough, is good enough, is perfect enough, you know, to represent what you want to send across. So that's, in order, we're talking about approach. Yes, it's a simple words, you know, but it's a tough thing to do, you know. It's easier said than done. And everything, you know, as an artist, as a creative person, a lot of things we do, we are doing very, very thorough. We are doing it super extra than the rest of the people used to do. You know, for example, like people read books, you know, they just read books and try to understand the plot. But for an artist, they don't only read the books, they also check what kind of paper they use, what kind of fonts they use, you know, what kind of illustration they do, why the size is a coffee table size, which is 20 by 20. Why do they use 30 by 30? You know, the kind of thing. So artists are always more than that, you know. That is why artists are special. That make the approach special, make the approach, you know, more meaningful, for people to look at it, as something that they can appreciate, and they announce it as artistic. So that's how the approach to me it has to be done, and it's not just do things haphazardly, just simply pick up and throw, cut and paste. I think there's no such thing. It's more a lot of a thinking process that the artists have to do, so when you present your work, it's come in a solid package, which is strong enough to represent the mind of the artist, what they have seen, what they have digested, and what they want to share with the viewers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abu Jalal Raymond. Thank you so much for your explanation. Is there any question from the participant or from the YouTube? If there is no question, maybe Mr. Zhang Kuto would like to make a conclusion of this discussion.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think the important thing it's the event. Yeah, it's the instrument. We are building with an encounter such as tonight. You see, an instrument of exchanges between artists, but also an instrument of awareness across the world. Yeah, and we should use this instrument to influence the events. Yeah, try to influence the events about Myanmar, but also about other parts of the world where we have similar problems. I'm thinking here of the Middle East, perhaps Pakistan, quite a few places, West Africa, where you see civil strife. It's important to have people who are aware of what is going on, who are expressing what is going on while protesting against it, and we are taking the steps to build a new international awareness, an instrument of goodness and an instrument of oneness, without, of course, being blind toward what is happening around us. Yeah, that's important. We have a fantastic instrument, and I think we must congratulate the people, Antonius and his friends, who have set up such a new instrument, even though we are only now learning to use it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Zhang Kuto. And I would like to invite Mr. Antonius Ko as a project advisory to thank all the participants of the Pray for Myanmar virtual collaboration for peace. Please, Mr. Antonius Ko. Unmute.
Yeah, hello. I would like to thank to all participants in this project. Yeah. So, and to all speakers, Mr. Abu Jala, Dr. Nija, Roya Delfos, and Mr. Zhang Kuto, and to Mr. Bakhtiar who set up us for this project, and also for to Tiarma for us moderator. Thank you. And maybe Mr. Bakhtiar want to say something because he
Yeah,
do a lot of-
please, Mr. Bahtiar, who already set up everything for us.
Nggak ada. Mungkin terima kasih aja buat semua partisipan yang hadir malam hari ini dan ikut pameran secara virtual. Untuk waktu ke depan bisa ketemu di acara di Turki. Terima kasih.
Bisa ditranslate sama Bu Fatia?
Mr. Bahtiar, thank you for all attendees and also speaker in this event. And we really looking forward for all of you to join the exhibition on next May in 2021 on Turkey.